Hello, RA out there. It's Mark with Redo Over, and we are back to our Stellaris in-depth vanilla tutorial. That's right, there's no DLC. This is like our 5th episode, but we made some pretty good progress last episode. We actually managed to get some new colonies done. Alpha Centauri Prime is a true colony now, working on their first district, and Sirius Prime just got established. They're in the colonization process, and because we have essentially increases to colonization speed, we have this down to about 2 years exactly. 24 months in this colony will be online. So we left off with really 2 survey groups going. That comprises a single science ship and a constructor. It makes sense to group them up because as the science ship completes surveying a system, the constructor can build the outpost and then start extracting resources by building mining and research stations. There you go. Now we could probably push towards a 3rd science survey construction ship group. We could definitely probably work on a 3rd colony ship. Well, we have no colony ships, but we've made 2 already, and we could get a 3rd one. Although, visually, I don't see a suitable marginal green world yet. We have a red world here at Niam, but at 15%, it's useless to us for the time being, possibly for the whole game. The other thing that's worth considering is building up our civilian fleet. We have just the 3 initial little corvettes. I was going to say frigates, but they're corvettes. I think each one of those takes 100 alloy. We have tons of alloy. So there's several things we should do. Granted, we can build ships pretty quick. Let's jump to the shipyard. So we'll go to Sol Station. We can't upgrade to a Starhold yet. We don't have the Starhold technology. So we're just going to jump over to the shipyard. And those corvettes come in, yeah, it's 100 alloy. They take 2 months to build. So the one trick is if we were ever to get into a fight, and say you had 2,000 alloy, and you're like, oh, I could build 20 ships. Sure, but that's going to be 20 times 2 months a pop. You're looking at over 3 years to build out your fleet. Well, your entire civilization could be conquered by then, theoretically. So it's probably better to be a little proactive and build some of those as we go. But I am super excited to get a science ship going. So I think we have room in our leader cap for an additional scientist. Let's just check that before we jump in. So we'll go to our leader tab. And up here, I see we're 3 of 3 officials, 1 of 3 commanders, and 2 of 3 scientists. So yes, we can afford 1 more scientist. So let's do that here. Let's go back to our shipyard. Let's get a science ship in the queue, followed by the constructor ship that will follow that science ship. And then how about 3 corvettes? I'm leaving back a little bit of alloy because we will need some for our outposts. As the 2 current survey missions finish, each one will need an outpost. So I don't want to go to 0 on alloy. Bear in mind, though, as these are being made probably at about 2 months each, so that's about a year's worth of construction, we will generate an additional 200 alloy approximately. So we'll be making new alloys as we go. Let's hit play. We'll speed it up to normal or to fast speed. Yeah, so it's not going too crazy. Ooh, I'm going to pause that right there. We have ourselves a tradition available. We'll click in here, and you can see that was the 812 tier. And we're down to just 2 options left. These golden boxes are remaining options. So we're nearly done with the expansion tree. We're getting there in just another couple of years. But our options right now are the courier network, which will essentially reduce our empire size for systems and planets. But when I go up here, I can see my empire size has yet to hit the 100 mark. Therefore, we'll gain 0 benefit from that. So as of right now, this gives us nothing, not even a single percentage point of benefit. The other one is the Galactic Ambition. Starbase upkeep minus 20%. Yes, we have a few outposts in Starbase right now, and the buildings and modules on those are part of that upkeep. So imagine you've got your outposts, you've got your star bases, but then on your starbase you have a black hole observatory, or you have 4 shipyards on a starhold. All those take tax, not just the starhold. The observatory in the starhold has an upkeep. Each ship, each gun battery, each little hydroponic farm, anything you add onto your star bases, each has their own individual upkeep. So you can have one big old honkin' stellar fortress with like modules and buildings and in 20 defensive platforms. And it's actually like 40 things you're maintaining on that one star base or stellar fortress. So be cautious of that, because it really adds a significant financial energy burden to your empire, especially as those technologies grow and you can make massive star bases. So right now, though, this will save us a little bit of money. A little bit. I'm looking up here, our energies at 139. We can see if that drops probably by maybe 2-3 energy. So let's take that. Yes. I can see we're now 1,065 unity from the final tradition pick. And at a plus 31, we got a ways to go. It's going to be a couple years till we get to that. It's getting expensive. We may want to generate unity. You'll notice here, as you go down the unity pop-up box, you get to produced, consume. Below that, unity is used to unlock new traditions. This is always a great way to get a very quick explanation of what a resource does and how to get more. So we use unity for traditions, leaders, and edicts. Awesome. We kind of understand leaders. We've looked at all of those at this point in our playthrough. But just below that line, it says to increase, build the auto Chthon monument. I think that's a made-up word. I don't think that actually is a word from English. On colonies or other buildings with jobs that produce unity. Yeah, you get like priest jobs, stuff like that. So we might want to take a look and boost the unity. Because at plus 31 unity, it's going to take a really long time to get there. And we want to hire another scientist. So let's go back to our leaders tab. Let's take a look at our scientists. So these are the 2 scientists we have, Herman and Jessica. And you can see we have 4 additional scientists available. Now, we know that we want our scientists to be searching for anomalies, surveying anomalies, that kind of stuff. So I want to look at their specials. Well, this is military theory. That would help with researching military technologies. Politician? Really? That increases council agenda speed. Yeah, there's some agenda our council is working on right now. I think that will yield unity. We should probably take a look at it to see how far along it is. Resilience, leader lifespan plus 10. That's not bad. And finally, expertise in statecraft. Research speed on statecraft projects increase. Let's take Kang Zhu here. He's got the extra 10 years, but yeah, we'll just... Can I hire him? No, I don't have enough unity. Oh, crap. I've got to get the base 100. So we're going to have to let the clock roll. But before we do that, let's jump into government. And we are looking at the evolving society. And what that will do for us is what, guys? Is what? We've already launched infinite opportunities. That's working for us right now and is providing happiness. But evolving society will give us monthly unity. However, so we're benefiting from that right now with the plus 10% monthly unity. That's nice. But it's going to be 148 total months. No, 105 more months till this launches. That's a massively long project. At 148 months, what is that? 12 years. It's 12 years to launch what is even the term for it? Agenda. So agendas are almost like on a half of a generational timetable. Every 12 years you get an agenda going. That's significant. All right, well, long story short, that'll be a big boost to Unity to go from a 10% boost to a 40% boost, but it's still 105 months out. So 8 years out, we're not going to get that anytime soon. Let's let the clock run. And I'm going to jump into Earth here real quick. Even when our science ship's done, we don't have enough Unity just yet to hire that scientist. So it's going to sit there fallow for a little bit. But I see a fun event has popped up. Machinery inside. As suspected, the asteroids. This is the completion of an anomaly research. As suspected, the asteroid CR9-Y2K holds within it a great mass of metal and does indeed hide some manner of machinery. The gathered data clearly shows that its constituent parts contain great quantities of stored energy, but its purpose remains unknown. We have two options: proceed carefully, gently excavate the asteroid, or probe it. Just get in there, probe that sucker. Um, Dispatch a drill probe to retrieve a sample. That sounds like so much hubris. It's like, hey, Gagarin, yeah, just dig in there. Just dig right in. We don't care. Just get the ship right up to the asteroid, and you just drill, baby, drill. No, we will proceed carefully because I wouldn't want to lose the Gagarin or our scientist on it. Is that Jessica on the Gagarin? I can never keep track. Yeah, proceed carefully. Ooh. Oh, hold on. We got an immediate response on that. They drilled immediately. So they asked for commands. We gave the commands. They did it. So Trojan asteroid. Hold on. Oh, crap. I'm out of coffee. Caution proved well in order. Hidden inside CR9-Y2K was a host of old mining drones programmed to attack on sight. Oh. Science officer Herman Wagner fortunately detected this early and was able to jam the drone's sensors long enough to disable them. The drone's cores are indeed old, but retain vast amounts of energy for siphoning. Power cores. Excellent. Add a +2/4 energy to that asteroid. That is fantastic. Now, I just want to point out that had Herman not been careful there, so this is the Gagarin with Herman. I see here the +4 energy. The 4 energy popped up, but let's jump into the system. Had he not done that, had we gone recklessly, the drones may have appeared around CR9 as an actual hostile enemy fleet that not only could have attacked our science ship, but then could have potentially spread to other systems. Anything could have happened. But we would have then had to contend with that. So we ended up getting a benefit as opposed to having an enemy to have to contend with. You know, some people might play the game where they want to have low-level, simple fights that they can do without going to war with the Xeno species. So some players you'd be like, well, I would always go for the 4 energy. I would never want to rile up the mining drones. Maybe you would. Maybe you're extremely militaristic and you want to get in that fight, destroy those drones, possibly have the science ship look over the wreckage to gain new research capabilities, and maybe you could drive up the experience of your ships. Do ships have experience in the game? Well, I'm sure your defense minister would gain experience from battles, most likely. And then as I look here at the individual ships, I see military power, hull, armor shields, upkeep. I'm not seeing... If I double click, yeah, I can't double click. So I don't know that the ships individually gain knowledge or skill level. I see suppression, fleet size. Huh. Possibly only Augustina Aguera would gain experience from the combat. That's not a bad thing. What else could you get from a combat? It's possible that some types of builds you could do, the people are happier if you fight a war or if you kill some Xenos. Maybe. So I'm only pointing this out. I'm only making a fine point of it, is that saying almost no decision is completely bad or completely good. There's usually a reason that you could take any decision possibly. It's never just like they're all fooled you. You picked box 3. What's inside of it? Absolutely nothing. You get the reference. I think you guys, if you guys know what Y2K is, then you get the absolutely nothing. You're so stupid. Okay, let's continue the game. We were looking at Earth though. Here we are. We have 2 available jobs, an entertainer and a clerk, which is fine. I want to go into the population and let's just mouse over real quick. That entertainer can produce Unity. It's not much, but it would just offset the cost of a new scientist we want to hire. And a clerk produces no Unity, just trade value and amenities. Who is the best at producing Unity here among our folks? Oh, bureaucrats. Holy shit. That's hilarious. God, that'd be a crazy job. Bureaucrats actually produce a lot of unity. How could we get more bureaucrats? If we come down here, well, let's see. Yeah, a city district we could build would only get us more clerks. Let's sort through here. Trade, commercial zone would yield clerk jobs. How on earth do you get bureaucrats? Oh, we have two options. Check this out. This is interesting. So I clicked on the little pray hands symbol there, right? Unity, I guess is what that is. So administrative offices, this will yield 2 bureaucratic jobs, granting a grand total of up to 18.5 unity. So that's going to take consumer goods and convert them into unity at a rate of 2 consumer goods to 9. So yeah, or 4 to 18. Sorry, it's 4 to 1. It's a pretty good ratio, right? Or we can do the Atochiton Monument. I don't know what that means. A monument to the first pioneers to venture into space. Very cool. This produces 2 culture workers. Culture workers produce unity from jobs by a percentage. Interesting. So culture workers turn consumer goods into unity. Housing population usage reduction, meaning people can live closer together, they're more tolerant of each other. Pop upkeep reduction, meaning they need less. I guess they pray more. They go to church more, so they're more satisfied with their lives. So they need less gadgets. I suppose less role playing books to have fun. Less purchases off the Steam store for games. And governing ethics attraction increases. So you get quite a bit for that. Culture workers vary depending on the empire's ethics. Okay. So that's an interesting one because I'm looking at this going, the 2 culture worker jobs produce an equal amount of unity, but produce the other things as well. The other 3 things there, which is pop housing usage reduction, pop upkeep reduction, and government ethics attraction. However, they do each take 1 more consumer good. So instead of 4 consumer goods for the 2, it's going to take 6 for the 2. So they're harvesting more input to give more output. Let's just compare one more time. Yeah, the bureaucrats provide nothing else. So let's look at 2 other things. Let's look at the build time of each building. 360 on the administrative office, 360 on the monument. I'm not going to say that word anymore. I think most buildings are around a year. The cost is 400 mineral, 400 mineral. The upkeep. Oh, that's interesting. Look at this. Admin office, the building itself takes 2 energy upkeep per month forever, but the monument doesn't. It has no upkeep. Beyond which, there's one other benefit, which was right up at the top there, unity from jobs plus 5%. Now, that's not a plus 5% to all the unity, but any unity that comes from a pop working a job will get 5%. It's a small amount. It's 1/20th more. But if you were to start going heavy into unity, it could make sense. But in general, the fact that there's no upkeep on that building, when I do these in-depth tutorials, I'm paying close attention to the game, talking to you guys. A big part of why I do this, you're going like, why the hell is this guy? He's not some Stellaris expert. I'm not. But I just learned something about the monument. In this current edition of the game, the way we're playing vanilla with no DLC, I never realized that the monument doesn't have upkeep. It's tax-free. 2 energy per month is not insignificant when we're trying to like micro 5% extra unity from pop unity jobs. 2 energy, just flat 2. It's for free forever. And you get other good stuff. To me, that sounds like a good trade-off for the 2 extra consumer goods. We can squeeze more people onto this planet. They take less consumer good upkeep as it is. Or is it amenity upkeep? Or is it energy upkeep? Not exactly sure what upkeep means. Oh, that's a question. So I want to find that out next. But here's what I want to do. I want to build the monument. Boom. Listen, it'll be a year till that's done. It's possible we'll have another pop and we'll slot that in. That ultimately what we want to do is boost our monthly unity. We said that was something we want to do. We're going to do it. But let's jump down into population real quick. Let's Just want to look at an average Joe here. Average Joe human. Their upkeep. Upkeep is multiple things. So when we sit there and say population upkeep is reduced by, like, essentially these culture workers are going to reduce the upkeep of our pop. You can see upkeep in this case is mineral inputs, food inputs, and consumer goods input. Not energy. It looks like it doesn't take energy. You're not paying your people. Let's look at another example. Let's go to the rulers here. Do rulers take energy? No. Their upkeep is food and consumer goods, a lot of consumer goods, but no energy. I see they have an amenity usage about midway into that pop-up there. They have their housing needs, which we know it will reduce their housing needs, these culture workers, and will it reduce their amenity usage? Is amenity usage considered upkeep? I don't think so. I say that because I almost feel like amenity usage would fall underneath the upkeep portion down at the bottom of this pop-up, if that's what it was. So it's a good question. I would be curious if there's a way to see that going forward. If I look at the amenities breakdown, this is for the entire planet Earth here. I can see how many are available. That's our excess, unused amenities. Again, this is like a park bench that no one's sitting on. A beautiful view of a fountain no one's looking at. Those things could be considered amenities in the world here. So we provide 59. The Empire capital, Earth here, gives us a +10. The governing home planet gives us a +4. Cool. From buildings, +5, which is probably our capital building. From jobs is 28. And from prosperous unification, that's one of our origins, gives us 25%. That's probably going to wear off eventually, FYI. Our base usage is 35. Effect from high amenities +95%. Okay, so I don't think amenities is going to fluctuate. So if we get like a 3% reduction to upkeep on our population, I don't think we'll get 3% off the amenities. The way I'm looking at this, it looks like one pop takes one amenity just flat out straight across. I could imagine potentially you could take some sort of utopian living standard that potentially could have each of your pops consume more amenities, but I'd imagine we're some sort of standard living standard, and it's just 1-to-1 for right now. But the other things the monument will yield is less housing needs for everyone, and less food, less mineral, less consumer good upkeep. So it'll be beneficial. Probably want to build one of those monuments on every colony at some point. But we were speaking about our origin, prosperous unification. I want to point this out. Prosperous unification is a very powerful origin. It's one of the basic vanilla ones. It's simple to use because you don't really have to do anything with it. It just makes you happier, gives you more amenities, gives you more resources for jobs, but it only lasts 20 years, and then it's gone. So what will happen when that runs out is that your happiness will drop by 15%, and your amenities will drop, your production of amenities will drop by 15%, and your job resource output will drop by 10%. And it'll all happen in the same day of the same month of the same year. And you better be ready for it. I better be ready for it, because it's an interesting thing when you're playing through a game and you're a relatively new player to this, and you're just all trucking along the first 20 years, the first 2 decades of your game, and it's like, man, everything's just cooking fine. The engine's running so smooth, and then that pops off and just disappears. You can't get it back, and you've got like 8 colonies, and they're just all, and you're like, shit. Yeah, it'll mess up your world real hard. You got to be prepared for it. Let's look at Alpha Centauri real quick. Alpha Centauri does not benefit from prosperous unification. So there's another thing that's important to learn, is that prosperous unification is only on your starting homeworld. So we learned some new things today. Awesome. Okay, well, that's good. We have a building in production, and we haven't been playing. We've just been talking, but that's kind of what we do here, folks. We just bullshit a lot. We are trying to get to 100 Unity, because although our ships are being produced, Can I send my ship out? Can I send it to the Demon's Maw? Sure. We're going to send the science ship to the Demon's Maw without a scientist on it. We're almost there on Unity. We need 5 more. There we go. We got it. Okay, so I'm now, science ship's on the way. Let's take that constructor just finished. Let's send it to the Demon's Maw. I'll move here. And I'll jump back to that science ship. Science ship. And you see the empty leader slot? I click in there and I go, time to recruit a leader. We had said maybe we wanted King Zhu just because he'll live 10 years longer than everyone else. Sure, we'll kick him. Recruit the leader to your empire for 100 Unity now and 200 per month. Yes. Awesome. And then I was trying to pay attention to the energy savings from our star bases, from our tradition pick. I can't really tell. It's nominal for now, but eventually it'll be worth something. So yeah, let's continue on. Ships away, and right now our shipyards are just working on those several corvettes with our surplus alloy. You'll notice, though, that in fact our alloys are growing back into the multiple hundreds right now. We can certainly build more corvettes when these ones are done. Oh, it's interesting. I'm stopping this real quick. New trait, Herman Wagner got the expertise biology trait. Ooh, that's cool. Can I click on Herman? New trait. Herman. Okay, that's interesting that pop-up doesn't let me just click on him directly, but let's jump over to Herman. There you go. So, I don't know if this happens every time a leader levels, to be quite honest, but you can see Herman has gone to level 3. And he's just gaining experience from probably surveying stuff and researching anomalies and all that kind of crap, but he's to level 3 now. You can see the per level again is just growing. 3 levels times 10% survey speed, 3 levels times the +1 to archaeology, +1 to astral rift. So in general, it's pretty sweet. I wish it would show you that in aggregate, though. It doesn't show like his total output. It's just being like it's per level, simple enough to parse out, but yeah, I just find it interesting that they show it that way. I don't think that's how they used to do it. They used to show you that it was like plus 12%. You know, it would grow as you leveled. But yeah, there we go. There's the expertise in biology. So Empire effect as counselor. Right, but he's not a counselor. So, you know, you can switch your counselors in and out pretty much whenever you want. There's no cost to that. You can just switch jobs for your leaders. You can say you're assigned to here, you're assigned to there. No big deal. If one of our technologies was based on biology, we could theoretically take the biologist, put it into the technology research slot. So here, I'm looking at this here. Here we go. This is how you can tell these icons. This blue computer, the green hands, and the lumber. It's like stacked up lumber or beams. Trying to mouse over. Come on. Well, that's interesting. I could have sworn it would show me what that's called. Bear with me here, folks. Ceramo metal engineering. Well, I'm frustrated. I wish it would pop up a name. I'm trying to actually see the term for that. It's computers what it is, obviously. This is social, but why won't it let me? Society research, it's all society. But see, what's going on here is like you might have an energy icon or a computer science icon, right? This could be materials, or this could be armor, or, you know, kinetic, whatever the heck. Oh, that's so fascinating that it's not giving me a term for that. It just won't. No, interesting. Okay. Well, sorry. I'm ultimately, if you saw this double helix, this would be the biology symbol. It's green. It would exist under the society here. So, like, think medicine. If this technology had the green helix, you would get a plus 5% to that speed. Also, you'd have a bigger chance of getting biology research options. So instead of handshake social options, biology options would come up more readily and the randomly chosen ones. So if you knew you wanted to get way into computer science, you could find a researcher, scientist who specializes in computer science. It has that symbol, and there you go. I'm flummoxed that you can't mouse over that icon and see the term for it. Like when I mouse over this one, expertise biology, right? It's an icon. This, when I mouse over it, should say computers. It just, that seems really weird. Just okay. Sorry, it's a little gripe only because the icon works in one area, but in another area, the same icon. It's like, guys, you're just cutting and pasting the code there. It's just why'd you break it? All right, let's continue on. So our science ships are doing their thing. Perfect. Okay, so we have gotten Procyon all scoped out. Listen, it's got trade, it's got physics research, minerals, and energy. So we definitely want to develop this. We will have our construction ship. We'll right click and we will say build that outpost. And that's perfect. That's about half of the influence we have. So we'll be ready for EJOC as soon as it's ready. In the meantime, we have to decide. We have 3 science crews going. I see there's only one way out of this system, and there's 2 ways out of Demon's Maw. But you know what? We'll just send them on to here. Is survey systems. So the science ship's going to go there, and we will have the constructor follow along when it's ready. In the meantime, I wonder how this science ship is doing. How close are you to being done? They got a little ways. Let's run the clock forward. And I got to keep an eye on my time here. Keep an eye on the time. Yeah, this guy will be at this for like 1 more year, it looks like, till that survey is done. So really what I'm hoping for is that we find a new suitable planet to inhabit. Okay, a couple things just finished up here. I'm pausing the game. System survey, we can clear that. Construction complete. The India just completed the outpost. I'm going to click off of that. But what I'm going to do is jump in, and we want the India to start working on the different projects. Since they're already here at Procyon, I'm going to have them start at Procyon building the research station. Then I'm going to hold control and click on CR9 Y2K. This is the asteroid that had the drones in it. Remember that we're tapping the energy off of. Build that mining station. Then finally, we'll grab the minerals here off of RF-112. So, did I do it right? Let me just check. Did I do it? No, I didn't do it. Damn it. That's odd. Why didn't that work right? Let me try shift. Sorry, I can never remember how to do this. Click my constructor. Right click. Build the station. Shift click. Build the mining. Okay, no, it must be shift. I know I'm fumbling around here. Shift. Okay. Good enough. It's shift, not control. So there you go. But Procyon's fine. It's 4, the 4, then the 2. Again, I'm only pointing out that I always try and harvest the largest number of things first, so I'm benefiting the most soonest. It might take them a full month to build, fly over another month, build this another month, fly all the way across 5 months, build this. It could be a half a year before all 3 of these are done. So I want to be benefiting more research, more energy sooner. I just point that out again and again. But we've had our first technology completed right here. This is the symbol. Technology research completed. We've completed the research of administrative AI. We're going to click on it. So this is a summary real quick. Research complete. So this is just going to yield the basic plus 5% to all research. Not just AI research, to everything here, plus 5% on all of those. Now, granted, we're only researching between 20 and 30 per category, but it's essentially plus 1, plus 1.5. So it's moving us on that way. Now, it is going to increase the upkeep of our researchers by 5%. So that is going to be their consumer goods, their food. It may be worth looking at one of our researchers next to see if we notice a change. It's always a question to me, like how they round the numbers. But yeah, it does mean our researchers are working harder and they need more. So we'll hit new research. Here we go. You can see under our research panel here, Herman, again, is in charge of all the research. Herman's specialty is specifically biology. That's cool, Herman. So he's more often going to have biology technologies pop up under the society tab. By the way, planetary unification will be completed in 1 month. So we'll see if that happens. We'll see if we get some biologies. But over here, I can now mouse on field manipulation or particles or computing. Why it doesn't work over here, I don't know. That it is a software guy in the 90s, and it drives me nuts that it's broken over there. But these are our current 3 options. So let's just look at it real quickly. Starting at the top, this would allow us to make an edict, so select an edict, not make an edict, that will last essentially forever. We're just saying, you know what? In our empire, we prioritize energy creation. Our technicians will produce 50% more. These are workers. But they will have an upkeep in energy credits of 1/2. It's not a percentage. It's just saying each technician will take a half the energy. Like essentially, we're paying them energy now to do their job. But if each technician can say, we'll say on average produces 10 energy, a 50% increase would take them, instead they're now producing 15 energy. Or that might be too bold of an example. Say they each produce 6 energy. Now they're going to get up 50%. They'll produce 9. But you're going to pay each of them a half of an energy to do their job. But you can see, you gained 3 minus 1/2, so you gain 2.5 extra energy. So it would be well worth it. Even though they're more expensive to maintain, it's well worth it in the end for the total output. And the more technicians you have working in energy, the more overall bang you're going to get out of that buck. So that's not bad. And then there's a new building we get as well called the energy grid. So yeah, we'd have to build a building. It's kind of the normal 1 year to build, 400 mineral, pretty standard, 2 energy upkeep. And this building would be built, per colony. We could put one of these into a building slot. But what it's going to do is it'll let each technician yield an extra +1 energy, just a straight flat +1. And it'll make 1 additional technician job slot on that planet. So this is a building you go, well, yeah, geez, I want that. That sounds good too. Well, bear in mind, you have very limited building slots on each of your planets. So you would build this building specifically on a world where you were going to do a lot of energy capture. Because it'll make all your technicians more, you wouldn't want to build like a farming building and a mining building and an energy building, because you're going to be spreading out. You're going to be using up all your building slots, and you're only going to get a little bit extra improvement in each one of those things. You're way better off like drilling down hard into energy, or specializing into minerals, or specializing into farming. I'm only pointing that out. But listen, that's a good one. It really is. Down here, this is relatively simple. This is blue laser. This is for small lasers. Think ship size. Small, mount to small ships like fighter craft. Medium-sized ships like frigates, large ships, battleships. Massive blue lasers doing massive energy output. You can go down the weapons route. When you want to get into war or you get attacked, you've got to have parity. You need to have some technology. It's very easy to ignore all your offensive and defensive warfighting capabilities in this game, right up until when you get attacked and you lose your empire. And it will happen eventually. Now, we're playing on a very easy mode here, like we're playing like on tutorial mode, cadet or whatever. So the Xenos will be pretty peaceful, but when you try and start pushing yourself and you get into the more challenging tiers of play, the Xenos will come for you pretty early, and you better be ready to fight. I think we have the luxury of ignoring weaponry for right now. And then there's one last thing to look at here. This is the energy path. This technology will lead to further advancements in the field of energy weapons. What this little lock with the blueprints behind it means is it unlocks a pathway. There are technologies that will never show up on this random list of 3 or 4 choices, depending on where you're at in the game. you'll never see certain technologies until you've unlocked blue lasers. So say it's green lasers. You'll never see green lasers until you've gotten to blue lasers. That's what that means. Now, these other two technologies don't have a lock. What that means is that you've already unlocked the path already, so they're further down a path you have unlocked, or they're not on a path at all. These are the ones that are just randomly getting selected from, and it's just showing you a few at a time. There's probably like no less than 20 technologies that could be thrown up here right now, or a dozen or something, and we're only seeing a couple at a time. So just so you know. Sometimes, if you want to have the most options available, you might always go for the technology that unlocks a new path. You're just, anytime you see a lock, you're like, oh, I'm going to unlock, because eventually you'll have access to those in the future. Most likely, you'll get back around with another chance to get those, but there's no guarantee. Sometimes the technology comes up, but I'm sure decades into the game, you'll eventually get back to them, if possible. Or the bottom one is very simple as well. Your research stations, these are stations in space, not on your planets, are going to yield 10% more research. Just super simple. I don't even see an upkeep cost. It looks like it's just a nice flat 10%. So that's an extremely easy one. It's instantly imparted upon everything. Questionable. We're not leaning into research heavily with our human build. Our United Nations of Earth doesn't lean into research. So I would say, honestly, I think the energy options are probably the best route. I will make a point, though, of alternating into weapons technologies like every second or third technology, because I don't want to completely ignore it, especially for the sake of us talking about the tutorial and fighting some battles at some point just for fun. But again, we've met no aliens yet, so there's no one to fight. So yeah, that's done. They're 95 months out. That's a really long time. And we gained our AI research buddy, our companion. Let's jump into Earth. Let's go to our pops. Let's take a look at our researchers. Actually, let's run the clock forward here. We'll run around to the 1st of August. There you go. Every time you hit the 1st of the month, it refreshes all the number calculations. But why I wanted to do that was, remember, we're getting 5% extra research, but it's at 5% of the upkeep for our researchers. So we're going to do two things. Let's look up here. Did any of those numbers go up? Hell, it doesn't look like it. Maybe one. It doesn't look like that budged at all. But let's go to our researchers, which are... Where you at, guys? Right here. Shit. Yeah. I think the consumer good upkeep for each researcher had been 2.5. It's now 2.6. Yeah. So, yeah, we're feeding more goods into them so they can spit more research out. And we'll compare that real quick to the metallurgists are at 2.5, traders are at 1.5, entertainers 1.5. Yeah, so everyone else is at a 0.5. Only the researchers are at 0.6. So that is that 5%. That's what's being represented there. Cool. But we did get our new technology. We'll click on it. Planetary unification. This is a nice one. And this actually gets us a lot closer to our tradition tree pick. This is why. Grants a small amount of unity. It doesn't tell you what that small amount is, but it is a year's worth. It's a year's worth, 12 months worth. So it essentially took 12 times whatever that is. So 300, and it dumped it into there, pushing us ahead real quick. It's a big lump sum. Nice. It's a one-time thing, though. Now it grants an additional unity of plus 5% every month forever. So that probably will tick this number up a bit. 1 out of 20 more. So in this case, it'll yield us like essentially 1 extra unity per month. But I'll take it. And it unlocks the feature additional edicts campaigns. Awesome. We should probably take a look at those. So let's choose our new research first. And here we go. We're in the society research tree. We have 3 new options, and you can see that 2 of them are in fact biology, because Herman here is an expert in biology. So one thing to consider is, while Herman is our head of research, if we pick one of these biology researches, we will get it all that much faster, 5% faster. He adds that much extra research to biology projects. That's his specialty. So, what do we got? We got 3 options. Well, let's start at the bottom. This is an oceanic ecological management. We have blockers, which we've been clearing blockers like the slums on Earth, or the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, right? But the thing about blockers is they're not a huge priority early in the game because blockers block available districts, but every new colony already has a handful of available districts. Even though some are blocked, many more are available. It's going to be a decade or more till we run out of available districts. So clearing this ocean ecology management blocker early, or whatever, a kelp forest, we don't need to worry about that now. So in the in 10 years of gameplay from now, mid game maybe, we'll want to get our blockers. But for right now, that technology is nearly useless. So that leaves these 2. Pop growth speed of 10%. I want pops. I want pops sooner. And 10% is a significant boost. Herman's good at research and biology, and it unlocks the biological path. So there's a lot of reasons why that's a good one. But there is one more option, hydroponic farming up at the top. It is biology based, which is nice. We unlock the building called a hydroponic farm. So standard building, this would go on our planet. It yields 3 farmer jobs, and that's it. It just means you can have a lot more farmers. The truth is, we can make a farming district to get more farming jobs. And the farming district also yields us housing. So we get housing and farming jobs for a district. And we've only got 5 types of districts we can make, right? We got our city districts, our industrial, energy, mining, farming. And we have way more food than we need anyway. It's really easy to get farming jobs. That's my point. And you only need so many of them. You don't need very many farming jobs. Unless you're playing a farmer build, in which case you want to have as many as you can. But we're not. We have no speciality in food production as the United Nations of Earth. So that is next to useless is my point. Think of how limited your building slots are. You're only ever going to get 12 building slots, even on the most developed planet. You're going to put one of them into just making 3 more farming jobs. It offers nothing else. So unless you're in a very niche case for your civilization build, you would never do the hydroponic farm. The other thing it does, this is sort of interesting, the hydroponic bay. Ooh, this is ish interesting. Yeah, you could put a module on a star base. Essentially, it's, think a glass ceiling pointed at the local star energy source, and you grow food in space. I don't know why that's more efficient. But here's for 1 upkeep, you get 10 food, and you go, is that good? Yeah. 1 energy per month yields 10 food. It's definitely good, right? When we look over at the market, what's the going rate for food right now? To buy a food, 1.3. So to get 10 food would cost 13 energy. So for 1 energy, we get 10 food. That's a good deal. Do we need that much food? There's one other benefit to it, though. By the way, this means that we have not chosen a technology to research. So that's a big warning. Back in here. There's one other benefit, though, to using a hydroponic bay. Because although I was just kind of shitting on hydroponic farms, going like, why would you would never build this, don't do it. Hydroponic bays, it gets us that 10 food without needing a worker. Pops are the all-powerful in Stellaris. Pops are the most limited valuable resource in Stellaris, but it doesn't take a pop to get those 10 food. The hydroponic bay fundamentally is the cheapest way to get the most resource in the game that I'm aware of. Just, do you need a lot of food? You don't, but it doesn't take a worker, and it's just 1 to 10. 1 energy to 10 food. It's really efficient. Really efficient. Granted, you have a limited number of of building slots on your star bases. You gonna burn one of your limited starbase slots on hydroponic farm? Good. I know some people can play the entire game just with hydroponic base on star bases, and on their planets they use no farming districts and no one farms. No farmers. That's one way to play. But no, at this early stage of the game, I think we'll be far benefited from choosing pop growth right now because it'll benefit for the entire arc of our campaign. We'll never have to worry about how we get food. Ultimately, we'll have more than enough. It won't be a big deal. We can always just we could buy it off the market if we had to. We just buy our food and not make any if we want to. We could do that, right? So that's the choice. Pop growth speed. Just watch my clock. That's probably going to be it. I actually have a service electrician coming to my house today because we've had power issues. I got to get it fixed. Half my house doesn't have power. I've got like an extension cord to run my internet right now. It is plugged into a dead outlet. If you watched, thank you. I know this one's probably a little bit short, but yeah. Listen, we got some new technologies coming through. We're closing in on our Unity. In just a few more months, we'll have that capped off, and then we'll be able to finish our tradition of expansion and choose, not only get the capstone on that tree, but also choose our first ascension pick, which will be a pretty big directional change or solidifying the direction for our civilization for the early part of the game. We will handle that on the next one. And as always, we're in the search for our next planet to inhabit. But if you watched, thank you so much. Take care, folks.